Hello, my name is Tyner. I really like comic strips. I like reading them, and I like drawing them. Today, I want to talk about my inspirations, my creative process, and my future goals. I hope this video will be informative and encourage fellow artists to pursue the medium. I like comic strips because they can be very effective at conveying stories and jokes using pictures and words. The working combination of these two elements can be very entertaining and fun. One reason I prefer them over comic books is that they are like sitcoms. You can just jump in and start reading. You just have to know the basic premise and you can get the joke. My first introduction to the comic strip medium was Garfield. Some of the early editions were available at my school library. The brand of cynical humor really entertained me at the time. Although I did end up drawing some comic strips during my school years, I didn't really expand my reading in that area. Most of my comic strips were inspired by what I saw on television or in movies. There wasn't much substance to them, and my interest in writing them waned as I pursued animation as a hobby. When I was in college pursuing my engineering degree, I realized I had some fun stories and jokes to tell, highlighting humor that can happen in everyday life. I started drawing comics again in my downtime, or when I wanted to take a break from studying. In 2015, the Peanuts movie came out. My interest in the brand was reinvigorated. Like most, I cherished the Christmas special. After watching the film, I decided to do more reading of the source material. I eventually found some collections and read them, continuing to be inspired. Sometime after college, it occurred to me that I never read Calvin and Hobbes, nor did I hear anything about them on television or movies. I slowly learned that there were no TV specials or anything of the sort. The only way to enjoy the little duo is to actually read it. At a point, I decided to purchase the entire collection. This did not disappoint whatsoever. Currently, I am studying the works of Winsor McCay. I have read Sammy Sneeze, The Rarebit Fiend, and now I'm dreaming my way through Little Nemo. So, what is my artistic process? As cliched as it sounds, it starts by living life. Life is full of funny experiences, jokes, and situations. It can be even funnier when you ask yourself, what if this happened instead? Once I experience, hear, or think of something funny, I write it down in a notebook. Much of these ideas are derived by my personal experience, which has multiple sources. Some examples include my profession, hobbies, faith, and family. For this video, I'll keep things professional. In December of 2024, I passed my professional engineering exam. Preparing for this difficult exam has inspired many puns and jokes. At some point, I had to study seismic loading for building design. One day I just thought of a funny little dialogue exchange based on this subject. I recently just finished a sketchbook, so now I can get a good start on this new one. I have determined that the minimum size that can be comfortably used is 6 inch by 9.5 inch. This size is also good for mobility. The sketchbook can easily fit in a simple sling bag with a pencil box, or even in the pocket of a bigger bag. If you know you're going out where there might be extended wait times, you can easily take it with you. As a frame of reference, the 6 by 9.5 allows for a 4-panel 1-row comic strip or an 8-panel 2-row comic strip. In both cases, the panels would be 2 inch by 2 inch. I make the margin on the left a 1/2 inch. The margin on the right is 5/8 of an inch. The spaces between the panels are 1/8 of an inch. The lines of text in the speech bubbles are typically 1/8 of an inch as well, with the margins being 1/16 of an inch. Here are the tools I use. A 6-inch stencil or ruler. This seems to be a complementary size for this sketchbook. I use mechanical pencils with 0.7mm lead, but I think any kind of pencil will do. An eraser is always essential because mistakes always happen. When the pencil lines are done, I use a Sharpie felt tip pen. I also have a regular Sharpie for bolder text. A piece of notebook paper is used under the current page so the marker doesn't bleed onto the next page. Whiteout is good for mistakes made in pen or marker. There are a few different approaches to drawing comic strips. Sometimes the visuals dominate the joke or story. This can help determine panel sizes and compositions. Sometimes the dialogue dominates the joke or story, so the dialogue is written out first to help dictate the visuals. Sometimes the beginning is clear in my mind, so I draw from left to right. Sometimes the ending is clearer, so I draw from right to left. When it comes to characters, I don't really have a consistent cast. I essentially draw similar faces and figures with different hair and accessories. Occasionally, I will put in a self-portrait if the joke is just personal enough. Sometimes I don't if the joke is too personal. I always try to keep things interesting from panel to panel. This can be as simple as changing compositions or having the characters interact with props. Once all the pencil lines are done, I draw over it with ink. Next, I erase the pencil lines and fix little mistakes. Finally, I date and sign the strip. Even with this small sketchbook, the possibilities are endless. I always find myself messing around with my own basic formats. As an artist, I keep myself accountable to certain goals to keep my creative life active. My goal is to draw at least one comic strip a week, sometimes more if the time is available. There is a part of me that hopes my comics will gain more attention, especially when I start posting them on Instagram. If that happens, I will further improve my artistry. There was an opportunity at work where they asked us to tell Christmas stories in a newsletter. I ended up drawing the final strip twice as big on printer paper and coloring it on the computer. It didn't make it into the newsletter, but it was shared to the entire company. So, obviously I'm not a famous artist in any capacity. Why do this in the first place? 1. It's fun. I enjoy drawing these little stories and jokes. I also enjoy sharing them with my friends and family in the hopes that I brighten their day. 2. This little side hobby helps me practice my storytelling and drawing skills. I always find opportunities to push myself and think outside the panel. 3. Drawing comic strips is very portable. I have the drive to be creative, and this hobby helps fulfill that drive when I can't stay at home and animate. 4. It allows me to explore conversations and jokes that I can't always execute in animation, due to the limitation of time and resources. Comic strips are very cost-effective and don't consume too much time. 5. I hope to one day adapt some of this material for animation or a larger project. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but at least these funny little jokes and stories are written and drawn in some way and some form for people to enjoy now. I hope you enjoyed my comic strip journey and that you yourself are also inspired to simply create. May God bless you and inspire you to do what is good.